So let's start. Huh?
Yeah, whenever you want.
From which end actually the slides will be shared? Is it as the presenter or it will be from the admin side?
No, it will be shared by Asim Latif from Pakistan.
Okay, fantastic.
Asim is very kind to extend his support. He was also supported us in the last webinar. So let's start. No?
Yes.
Good morning. Good morning, dear panelists and participants, to our webinar titled as Education in Emergencies Practices in Bangladesh. You know, due to its geographic location, Bangladesh is highly vulnerable to natural disasters. Cyclones pose a great threat to the country, while coastal areas are also at particular risk with the added danger of tsunamis as well. Due to the country's low elevation and location in the Ganges Delta, flooding is also a major concern. Such devastating disasters have a very negative impact on the education system in Bangladesh, along with the other systems. Valuable instructional time is lost, which often translates to lower achievements, lower academic achievement, and higher dropout rates. So disasters also damage educational infrastructures. And in addition to direct damage caused by cyclones or flooding, schools are also used as temporary shelters as well. Bangladesh education system is yet to be prepared to meet the challenges presented by the country's persistent natural hazards or disasters. In a country where 71% of the population lives in the rural areas, school communities often have limited awareness of disaster and climate change risk and frequently lack the capacity to prepare and respond to the disasters. In particularly vulnerable areas, communities truly struggle to continue education during and after disasters, as the resource-poor environments compound the problems of dealing with the devastating loss of infrastructure and school materials. However, Bangladesh has seen implementation of numerous education in emergencies interventions throughout the last 2.5 decades, if we count from the mid-90s. In this webinar, we will see the presentations on some of the interventions that were successful in implementation. And also, we will see the skill set which are very much needed for addressing the education in emergencies, the problems and challenges of implementation of education in emergencies, and how we can overcome all those challenges with which type of skills will also be presented in this seminar. We have three presenters today. One is Mr. Sina Chaudhuri. He will be presenting from People's-Oriented Program Implementation POPI. And we also have a presenter from Stromi Foundation, Mr. Rahul Barua. And also we have another presentation Mr. Shuman Ahsanul Islam, who is from Insights, from Social Enterprise. Let's start. Before starting, we have some announcement on housekeeping, webinar housekeeping. Particularly, participants' audio and video are disabled. You can notice that. And the webinar will be held in English with presentations briefly summarized in Bangla, and post questions using the question answer function at any time, either in English or Bangla. We can accept both the languages. This session is being recorded, and closed captioning is also available in English. The recording and presentations will be shared on the IEE website later on. Okay with these housekeeping rules. Now let's start. The first presentation will be from POPI, People's Oriented Program Implementation. POPI was established in mid-80s, and POPI started development work through raising awareness, sensitizing, and organizing the women living in poverty and extreme poverty on development issues and building their leadership and management skills. The initial aim of the work was to alleviate poverty through empowering women. From that beginning, POPI has grown in strength, and today it is one of the leading NGOs in Bangladesh. As a development organization, POPI's services have been deeply appreciated by the people it works for, and it has expanded its geographic footprint across 19 districts of the country. In its long journey of more than 30 years, the organization remains committed to make a difference in the lives of people by promoting sustainable development, gender justice, and social harmony. Ensuring quality education to all children, especially to the children from the most marginalized sections of society, is one of POPI's key development concerns. POPI's education program conducts multiple activities to ensure quality education to children belonging to population, including school dropouts, slow learners, out of school children, and ethnic minority groups. So please enjoy the first presentation from POPI. Mr. Sinha Chaudhuri is going to present. Sinha Chaudhuri, over to you.
Thank you, Mosharraf Bhai. It's really a pleasure for us to be invited and to share our journey with this floating school program. At the outset, I take the privilege to welcome the esteemed audience. Very good morning, sirs and madams. Now, let us begin our presentation. You see, the little, can you back this? You see the title of the presentation on the screen. It's about floating school we run at the house. I hope I will be able to elaborate the program little bit more with the following slides. Hopefully, I won't drag out this presentation too long. Next slide. So before going to present the details about floating school, just a few basics of POPI. We prefer being called by POPI. However, our full name is People's Oriented Program Implementation. We started our journey in 1986 in a small village named Jamalpur in Bhairab Upazila under Kisharganj district. At present, we are working across the country. We have operations in actually 23 districts in 5 divisions. Hopefully, we'll be able to cover a few more districts by this fiscal. Besides, we have been able to reach about 2.5 million people, and our programs are implemented by a large team of more than 3,500 staff. In the current fiscal, we have an operating budget of more than 26 billion taka. Next. So floating school, I think the name says this all. Virtually, it's a school being run on a boat. There is everything there. The school has well-furnished classroom, furniture, blackboard, library, game materials, and so on and so forth. We have 30 learners in single-deck schools, while the number is 100 in double-deck schools. The interesting theoretical feature of floating school is students may not require to travel miles to get into the classes. Rather, the school reaches to the students to pick up. And probably you all know about Haus. Basically, Haus is a wetland ecosystem. There we work. And overall, the Haus region remains a part of Bangladesh where natural shocks, seasonal food insecurity, and patterns of socioeconomic and political exploitation create conditions of widespread vulnerability. Basically, our floating school program is being implemented at the house of Kishoreganj district. Now, who is the student of this floating school? It is quite a known fact that the average children of the Haus region may be categorized as underprivileged, and due to several factors, including difficult physical conditions of Haus, many children drop out from schools. So average children of the Haus is students of floating school. Next. So here is one of our double-decker school. You see children are getting down. And the next one. And this one is a single-decker. Actually, we have several single-decker schools. Next. And this one is going to be a new addition to our floating school. The design isn't finalized yet. However, we have taken measures to complete the work very soon. So we have a number of single-decker by this fiscal. Next one. Can I share the video, please?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, I have. Yes. I think it's not working.
Yes, we can see your screen, Sina.
Yeah, but it's not moving actually.
Maybe you can manually play the video from the folder.
Yes, that would be good. Yes, here is the video, please.
I think you should share your audio through your computer. I don't know if you have a way to do it. Is there? No, it's not working. I'm hearing something now. but very faint.
But we can't hear any audio.
I think we have a suggestion from Annie Vinod to share. She's saying while sharing in the left corner to tick share audio. I don't know if you're able to do that. Maybe that'll help.
So should I continue, please?
Yeah, of
Sure.
course.
Please.
Yes, please, you can continue.
Sorry, I think you haven't been able to enjoy the audio, but unfortunately, it's working. Anyway, now the need of floating school. Why the floating school is needed? You see, you must be aware of the fact that the Howrah has got a unique physical setting and hydrology. It is safe to say that this area completely lacks communication infrastructure. People face tremendous challenges within their community. It is almost impossible for a stranger to be able to get to one village to another. Travel into Howrah areas is not possible without a boat. Raised land and construction of a school complex building and playground is very scarce. Disaster is a very common phenomenon in Howrah, but the climate change impacts such as changed weather pattern, rise in temperatures, reduction of rainfall, and occurrence of untimely rainfall make Howrah even vulnerable to disaster. On the other hand, we have some documented differences which suggest that the mobility of girl children is really limited. As a result, they remain out of the purview of education and are subjected to child marriage. So that is an important characteristics of floating school. We have stated earlier that the floating school makes children get into classes conveniently, especially during a difficult time. The school are more or less a formal kind of school. All education materials are supplied for free. We have catch-up classes to make assist somewhat slow students to overcome. During natural disaster, parents are extended humanitarian support. For example, we have distributed food and non-food items to the parents during the initial shocks of the pandemic. And we are going to extend such support again in a month or so. And children and their parents are given primary healthcare support also. So here is the reflection of the whole package of floating school. First, all activities of the floating school revolve around this classroom. As the school pursues national curriculum, the classes are monographic. Support is given from preschool to grade 5 level. A school management committee oversees the school activities. Children are given opportunity to have extracurricular activities as well, such as reading book and playing indoor games. We are very keen to expand our support for online activities. We are increasingly making devices and internet available to learners. And we have another program named Adolescent Development Services in the floating school. Adolescents, particularly who are studying in secondary schools, are enrolled. Among other obstacles, child marriage is a key concern in the area. So adolescent girls are given orientation to a range of topics, including women's rights, life skills, reproductive health, and so on. Particularly, they interact among themselves and avail the facility of play and read there. Another important feature of the floating school is floating clinic. The clinic is run by a paramedic. Basic medical equipment and medicines are available there. Both students and local community, particularly pregnant and lactating mothers, are given services. Besides, health, nutrition, and hygiene awareness sessions are also conducted by the clinic. So here is some photographs. You see children are playing there, and a joyful classroom here, and 2 pictures of inside classroom. Here is the adolescent girls are playing chess and carom here, and here is 2 photos of the clinic we are telling. See here, the children is given support, and here a mother is given support. So I sincerely appreciate your attention to our presentation, and that brings us to the end. I would like to thank you for your time and attention. If anyone has any question, I'd be happy to open up.
Thank you, Mr. Sinha Chaudhary. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Sinha Chaudhary, for your next presentation. Yeah, we have a separate session on question and answers. We already have got 2 questions in the chat box for you. So in that due course of time, I think we'll be answering all those questions. Now we will go for the second presentation. Second presentation will be made by Mr. Rahul Kanti Barua from STOMI Foundation. STOMI Foundation is a Norwegian international development organization. STOMI Foundation was founded in 1976 as the result of the commitment of former Reverend Olaf Christian STOMI of Christians and Cathedral to raise funds for people in need. The organization is a rights-based development NGO that works towards a vision of a world free from poverty. Therefore, the focus on long-term development work through projects in civil society organizations has been a common thread since their inception. Africa and West Africa, STOMI Foundation has been operating in Bangladesh since 1990. Now, Mr. Rahul Kanti Barua is going to present from Strong Foundation. Rahul, over to you.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Tanshan. This is a nice platform for me and the opportunity that we like to share the experience about our education program during the emergency like floods. So first of all, thank you very much. Let us share our experience on that issues. Next, please. Yes, actually, the topic was continuing education through community participation during flood. So I like to present that you see there are community participation and continuation education during flood. So, I mean, this continuation of the education definitely when Stroma Foundation is working within his target communities, we have prepared our community beforehand when we start our program in that particular communities. So that's why can I next slide. So that's why before that, I mean, for my presentation, we'll cover the community mechanism, how we will ensure the community participation in the this kind of emergencies and also our regular program. And then that the second part was covered how we will manage the education emergency during flood through situational analysis, the challenges during the flood, and then the mitigation strategies, how we will involve the community in that mitigation process. Next slide. So for community mechanism, I mean, for ensuring the community participation in FDOR, so we will start with the individual families who are really very vulnerable in that particular areas which we are working for. And then these particular families, there are a roadmap that these families are coming to join in a small group approach we call self-reliance group. Then these small groups in a maturity phase, they tends to a bigger group. We call it ward committee. And after that maturity, that will connect to a bigger network. We call union level committee or other external networks. And based on that, we have our adolescent forum or network. As in our program, we have 1 year curriculum for education. So after graduation, this adolescent, they join the forum and network. And then we have youth forum. Basically, they are graduates from the Tibet who are joined after complete their part. They have formed the youth forum. So within that development, through that process, we have education, for environment and climate change volunteer groups, and then education service provider. So within that, environment and climate change volunteer groups, basically, I already mentioned in our community mechanism, we have a small group SRTs, there are ward committee and union committee. So the focal person are the mainly join these volunteer groups who are really, activate during the flooding time and other emergencies. And then there are education service providers who are joined from the adolescent graduate forum and then your participant. So they are also, support the education during this kind of emergencies like flash flood and these issues. So within that whole community mechanism, what we are doing, there are lots of capacity building initiatives which we are following. We called empower model. So through this empower model with dignity and sustainability, we invest a lot to prepare them to make their rights and dealing with any kind of issues with the duty bearers. So who are the duty bearers? Duty bearers are the local governments and private agencies who are dealing with their needs. The community needs. So within that empowering model, we are following to empower them. Next, please. And through that, process, the program implementation strategies was in a holistic and integrated approach that we are following. And also we are strongly focused on the right-based approach, and also we ensure the result-based management within the system. Next. So for second part, when we prepare the community, and then the next one is the how we are managing these emergencies as a practical point of view. In the last year in 2020, there are several flood in Bangladesh, as because in our working area currently in 7 districts, it's like Rangpur, Kurigram, Gaibandha, Jamalpur, Sherpur, Mymensingh, and Patuakhali. So among them, this selection is based on the vulnerability. So vulnerability based on the the flood prone areas, then looking for the low literacy, the poverty, income opportunities, etc. So if we coming out with the last years in July, in our 3 districts like Jamalpur, Gaibandha, and Kurigram, that was mostly affected, and based on that, what we did primarily, we have kind of situation analysis. As in earlier, we told you about the focal person from the different community mechanism group. So they are actually responsible for taking initiatives to this kind of situation, giving the informations and ensuring support what they need. So among, within the community participations, we are collecting the information through that process in a matrix. So you see the structure that I highlighted in the yellow color. There are other information there. You see the number of affected education center. There was total 58, and then the affected learner is 5 to 7. So, and also you can see that the families who are shifted from their family to the flood shelter. So the situation is that when this kind of situations, when it is very much flash flood, at the beginning, it was really hard to manage the education program, because at the time, primarily, first of all, they need shelter. So definitely in time, the education is interrupted. And within the systems, as we have our own community, schools, and also we are supporting, working with the formal school also. So that's the way that we are coming through at the beginning. Within the community participation, we go through the situation analysis, what is happening there. Next, please. And then you can see what challenges after floods. You can see, though we told that I already mentioned, there are several times flooding, and also in the last year, you can see the pandemic is also kind of double burden issues within these areas, and mostly disrupted in the communication side. You can see everywhere is the water logging there. and definitely school are closed as because for the pandemic, the school was closed. However, as we are working with the community, community supporting so that the children will not, I mean, they will connect it in the education program. So, and we know that there are some issues that within the small groups that we try to manage to continue the education. This is not about the schooling. There is kind of alternative support that we manage, and also you can see the very limited options for seeking the shelter. This also, I mean, in this flooding, we saw that these are one of the limitations that shelter is not enough. And also, what happened, we can see the family migration, and definitely within the family, learner also migrated. So we didn't find a learner after that. I mean, you can see that the dropout will be happen, and also we can see as because the income loss, we can see that child dropout there. I mean, and also child labor there. There are river erosion, and also there are some kind of waterborne diseases along with this kind of challenges, basic challenges that we are seeing, finding in the field. Next, please. And there are several, I mean, informations that you can see. There are some, all are waterlogging, and you can see some of the pictures that children are going to schools through this, I mean, waterloggings. Next, please. And how we actually mitigate, what our strategy through this community participation. So in our experience that we actually shifting the school in the upper ground or non-affected areas. And in that non-affected area, upper ground, definitely we are using one of our community's house. So in that case, we are working with the school management committee, or we call center management committee, and also we have the parents forum, or in some cases we call mother forum there. So there are also a kind of capacity building through this kind of CMC and SMC with their roles and responsibility. And so among the agreement with that, it is you can see they have agreed that where we can shift the schools. So you can see the picture that learners is continuing the educations in the upper ground, and also we can, I mean, we have also a small group teaching approach where I mean our adolescent and youth are supporting through that small group teaching. And also there are, I mean, created study cycle with the support of parents to continue education by the adolescent youth. They also created a kind of study cycle, so that they will not disrupt it. They will continue their education within that critical situations. Next, please. And then we also see, you can see that there are temporary bamboo bridge construction by the adolescent. There are, I mean, you can see they also involve, I mean, adolescent and our surgery group members supporting for some repairing the, the bamboo bridge. They are making bamboo bridge. They are making, I mean, earth cutting to raise the ground. So what is this for? They are all actually made them so that their students, their children can able to go to school. So all are effort there. So all are community participation. All are, I mean, agreed. They're supporting each others. So that our continuation is really supporting in that way. Next, please. And also we can see there is sharing responsibility among the community. to take the necessary arrangement for the student to reach the school or center during the flood. You can see they are arranged some case of boat for their children to go to the centers. There are some bamboo, you can see some kind of alternative option they are using to reach their children and to support the children to went to the children. For the smooth communication to ensure their education within that flood situations. Next, please. And also within that, situations, we are also have others activity like, I already mentioned that with our small group and adolescent forum, and there are others forum there. So all these community mechanism, they have to have a yearly plan. Before have to prepare plan, they also coming through a SWOT analysis as to find out what are the existing problem is there, what are the opportunity are there, and how they are dealing with that. So that they are doing within this, within their community, and based on this analysis, they prepare the plan. So definitely DRR is, you can see as we select these districts based on the vulnerability. So you can see lots of issues based on this, disaster risk reductions and based on, and also we as we are working with the schools, so there are school development plan are there, and we try to integrated the contingency plan, emerge with this plan. And also we are doing advocacy campaign on mass awareness by the adolescent on education, child protection, and gender-based violence. Because within that critical situation, we can see there's some kind of child protection issues there. There are gender-based violence there. We also, this kind of community mechanism, communities, they are really supporting through that process to protect this kind of, situations. They can protect themselves and also their communities. And also we in our bigger cluster, there are sub-cluster, education sub-cluster, which lead by the Ministry of Primary and Mass Education and Ministry of Education with the collaborative disaster management committee at the so we are also a member where there is also kind of more than 30 the partners, NGOs linking with that sub-cluster where lots of capacity building issues. There are district focal person on the emergencies, and also there are kind of 4D metrics are also there to collecting, supporting, to ensuring to resolve the issues. So, and next. And this is the actually way that we have managed. Thank you very much. You can see our adolescent group are very active, and we are also following the community-led assessment approach. And as we are not in the community in some sort, community is there, and we try to ensure building the capacity so that they can manage, they can know what they will need. So that's the way we are facilitating. Thank you very much. That's end of my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Rahul, for your nice presentation on the continuing education during the floods situation in Bangladesh. So it's now the time to go for third presentation, and the third presentation would be a bit different. Mr. Shuman Asanul Islam is going to present on what sort of skills or skill set is needed for implementing education in emergencies in Bangladesh, and he will focus on mainly the skill set which is needed to implement education in emergencies in Bangladesh, though his study is based in Cox's Bazar, but I'd like to request him to present or focus on the overall Bangladesh based on the natural disasters related education in emergencies intervention as well. So Mr. Shumon is the advisor of Insights. Insights is a social enterprise, combines with insights and ideas with the expertise in social and business opportunities and turns them into innovation, design services, and strategies. Their work include specialist assistance in research, study and assessment, design, delivery, implementation, and evaluation of programs and products. Insights strengthens the personal's calibers or capacities and organizational performances that help organizations communicate better that impact. They capacitate human resources, arrange and provide trainings and e-trainings, develop and design training manuals and modules. They also assist in designing and developing of projects, writing proposals, and providing technical assistance and implementing projects as well. So now, Mr. Shumon Ahsanul Islam. Over to you, Mr. Shumon.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Thanshen Bhai, giving me this opportunity, and welcome audience listening to my presentation. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes.
So as you said, yeah, thank you very much. So as you can see the headline, this is a study I'm going to present that I had led back in 2019 and 2020 to around 1 year back. So this is a big study been funded and facilitated by Save the Children, where Humanitarian Leadership Academy Bangladesh, BRAC, Bangladesh University of Professional have been partnered together to undertake this study to understand the skill set necessary for the local humanitarian aid workers who are engaged in Rohingya humanitarian context, responding to the humanitarian crisis. So while the huge discussion around humanitarian localization have been going on over the world, we concentrated on the from the same focus, looking at the capacity of local humanitarian aid workers, who are the key people for making the impact in the life of the affected people. So this is a whole study looking at the whole spectrum of the skill set required for humanitarian response. But here I'll be presenting only the education, the skills that we have investigated at the area of implementing the education in emergencies. And with that note, I'm just adding with Tanshen about our organization, Insights, which is Institute of Innovation for Gender and Humanitarian Transformation. We are a group of people who have experienced on disaster and gender work in Bangladesh over the last 25 years, now come together to develop and build up some local knowledge around those two issues, particularly humanitarian gender perspective in Bangladesh, providing support to government and non-government organization, and also to the private sector. So with this note, I'm requesting for the next slide, where I'll be giving you some context of the study. Well, you know, the Cox's Bazar is currently the largest humanitarian crisis zone in the world, around like 880,000 Rohingya population from Myanmar since 2017 have been living in 34 camp situations. almost 60% of them are children, and children who are at the age of their school going. And around there is not perfect or any statistics about the local humanitarian aid workers, but it is estimated around 12 to 14,000 local humanitarian aid workers at different categories are working on this situation. Next slide, please. And in this slide, this study have been, as I said, been published in June 2020, and it is available on Relief Web and other humanitarian knowledge sites. While the survey of the study been conducted during 2019. Objective of this study was to outline the knowledge, skill, capacity, gaps, and learning needs of local humanitarian aid workers in Cox's Bazar. We follow both qualitative and quantitative survey and data collection, primary data collection, also include secondary literature review. Particularly, this study was done for the purpose of designing trainings and capacity building planning of the for the local humanitarian aid workers in Cox's Bazar, and also to advocate the need of competency and competencies for the local humanitarian aid workers. So these were like broadly the purpose and objective of the study. This next slide, please. And now I'm going to present some of the findings we had in this study. You can see this graph where we say the humanitarian essential skills, whether people work on education, health, wash, or any sector, protection, or even in management at the top level, or even the volunteers, we consider from our study that some skill sets that people must have for every humanitarian aid workers, which is a core humanitarian standard and sphere standard, psychosocial counseling, humanitarian accountability. Those 6 areas of competency we consider is a must for the people who will be working in any humanitarian situation. Anyone we require to send people in the field for humanitarian response, we think they must require those skills. We understand and we believe that humanitarian aid work, well, this is not rocket science. Everyone can do it, but some people do it professionally, and we promote those professional competencies and professionalism within the humanitarian sector, as it is an emerging area of professionalism. Thus, we say that's the very basic thing every humanitarian aid workers required to know are the core humanitarian standard, where you can see there are those bars, those blues bars are like the male Bangladeshi NGO worker. Then the red ones are male international humanitarian aid workers. Female Bangladeshi NGO humanitarian aid workers are on green. And the violet one is female international NGO worker. So you can see the composition of staff under any particular essential skills required set. So people in the core human standard on the very left side, you can see that yes, the male humanitarian aid worker in Bangladeshi NGOs, there are quite a good number of people are being trained. And gradually you can see the female international are the least. Humanitarian code of conduct, that's the best area where everyone gets some kind of the training and skill development training. Sphere standard, is you can see on the third, there are very few people being trained on it. Psychosocial counseling, this competency, essential competency, is also lack in Cox's Bazar among the local humanitarian aid workers. Humanitarian accountability, this is also not that good situation, and on the extreme right side, there is children and women protection, gender-based violence, diversity and equality set of competencies. People are not that, not many have trained or get the get training on this. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Now, these local humanitarian aid workers, you can see that there are 12%, as we surveyed, 12% of all the local humanitarian aid workers are working in the education sector. And among those, 9% is from international NGOs, male, 6% international NGOs, female, local NGOs, male are 33%, and female are 52%. So you can understand when we discuss education, when we discuss in emergencies, local humanitarian aid workers, maximum number are the females, are recruited from the very local level, on supervising the education system, or facilitating the education program on the ground, and supervising the teachers on the ground. And I have put a comment from a local humanitarian aid worker in this slide, where you can see they said, "I see no opportunity for strengthening skills and capacity available here for the local workers. Every organization just wants delivery of work by paying a standard amount at the end of the month. But the employee eventually suffer and fall or fulfill their responsibility effectively. Consequently, many local are losing their job lately." So people are just taken from their home and given the job as is required, and send them to the camps for the different programs. And you can see in the area education here, without providing any kind of the training incentive. We'll see more on the next slide. Please, next slide. And as I said, the education is the least get the least attention on the skill development. You can see from this slide, I'm not sure if it is clear on the screen or not. We ask the responder a question to self-assess. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I think I lost the connection. Okay. So in this slide, you can see when we ask the responders for self-assessing their competencies with a scale of 5, where 1 is no knowledge, 2 is minimum knowledge on the subject, never or unable to apply in practice, 3 is some knowledge and application experience, 4 is good knowledge and application experience, and 5 is full command applied effectively. With this 5 level scale, we ask question on different competency set to the responders, and we got this result. If you can see that, particularly in the education, if you say, they have competency, average competency in education sector humanitarian aid workers, local humanitarian aid workers is 3, which is least among the all sectors. You can see the bars, and the highest is child protection though, and food security, wash, health, there everyone have like 3.38, 3.11, 3.22, 3 on education, 3.38 on child protection, and 3.23 on the shelter and NFI. While the average level of their competency, self-assessed competency, is 3.16. And if you look at the yellow line, which is, we say this average years of humanitarian experience in the sector, again you can see on the education sector, in the education sector, staff, the local humanitarian aid workers who are working in Cox's Bazar, their average experience in humanitarian work is only 1.8 years, and there is a huge turnover in the local humanitarian aid workers work in this area. Please click on. You can see that this child focus and child sensitive programming competency is 3.13, which is again the least score on the competency self-assessment. And if you click, please, again, children safeguarding self-assessment score is only 3.46. So you can see this is the, please click, there will be animation. Yeah, again. So you can see these are the situation of self-assessment of local humanitarian aid workers who are working in Cox's Bazar, and particularly the education sector is among, there is minimum, and education is the below minimum. On the next slide, if we go, please click, we'll see more in on the technical area of education, which is like physical and psychosocial protection and well-being. 75% of the among the responders in education sector have work in this area, and you can see that 66% of them say they have a high priority of the issue in their area, where the competency score is only 3.46. Teaching, learning, and improving outcome, around 77% responders said they of the sector they have work on this area, and 55% said they have a high importance of this competency in their work, but their competency assessment is only 3.22. Support system, parent communities, and authorities, again 77% say of the among the education humanitarian aid workers said they have work on this area, and 67.5% of them said that they have a high importance of this competency in their job responsibility, but their competency self-assessment is only 3.3. So this is on the more in-depth kind of the findings from our study we see. And we thus, based on this recommendation, next slide, please. We recommend that a holistic strategy of local humanitarian aid workers' competency and professionalism development in Cox's Bazar is highly important. When we talk about humanitarian professionalism and competency framework globally, we talk about localization. Without local experts, without local people have the capacity, we cannot see any localization success. So it is important a holistic strategical investment of fund for local humanitarian aid workers' competency and professionalism development. We also see it is not just a straightforward taken from global experience to local. It is important to contextualize those learning needs and contextualize the local culture and people's understanding into the capacity building and professionalization program. And unless that's been achieved, for a short term, we recommend a community of practice could be instrumentalized to support those people. Yes, there are some people very super expert working in Cox's Bazar, and those resources should be utilized to build capacity of the local humanitarian aid workers in Cox's Bazar. And in every localization discussion, local humanitarian aid workers, whether it is in Cox's Bazar or in other part of the country, it is important to build up their competency and professionalism. Now, I would like to add some of my experience that I did evaluating the flood and Amphan response program. Last year, there was a 2-3 time flood, and the big cyclone was there in Bangladesh, and both south and north of the country been highly affected by those cyclones. And when I review this is not part of this presentation, but talking from my experience and knowledge that I also did in the review of this program, that as I said, that humanitarian aid work is no more an amateur or a voluntary work. It is a professional work. People need professional competencies. As I said, it is not a rocket science. Anybody can do it, but some people do it professionally. And when the question is life and death of a vulnerable people affected by disaster, we need more professional people in this area. Bangladesh made tremendous development on the disaster management over the last 4 years, but alongside that, the situation been changed over the time. New disaster, new context been emerged, and we need to accommodate and take those changes into the experience and put our effort in innovation, and also align with the global priorities such as grand bargain, localization, humanitarian development nexus, those issues. And with this note, this is next slides. Any question and answer? Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you, Shuman Bhai, for your detailed presentation. Dear participants, though the presentation from Mr. Shuman Ahsanul Islam was very much based on the Cox's Bazar experience, but I think we can generalize it for the whole country. A holistic strategy for the local humanitarian aid workers or the emergency service providers, competency and professionalization should be developed. We must say, and
exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
So
that's the message I want to put.
Yeah. So contextualizing of a competency framework is really needed for our aid workers who have been involved in the emergency works. And also community participation, how we can support, how we can strengthen community participation in the emergency work. That is also a need to look into. Though we have seen in our second presentation what sort of community participation is being presented in our existing work. Now we can also think about strengthening those participation initiative in the emergency works as well. And the localization discussion that focused in the last presentation, that is also important, and it should be more focused on the competency and professionalization of the localization discussion should be much more strengthened in our discussion. So thank you, Shuman Bhai, and thanks to all three presenters for their nice and detailed presentation. We have got some questions in the question answer box, and also I have seen that some of the questions are already have been answered. However, for the wider audience, can we go for the answering session of those questions? Mr. Sina Chaudhuri, I think you can first answer the questions that came to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I think I have already answered the question that popped into the chat box.
Yeah.
But thing is, there are some important question as well for all audience. We can tell them again. First thing, first question, whether the schools runs only in rainy season. No, the school actually we operate the school round the year. Basically, our area remains submerged for 6 to 8 months. You all know. At that time, it is very important to move the school to the different locations. But during the dry season, the school is stationed in a place, and then children come from around the the area. Second question is what teachers, about teachers. Who are the teachers actually? Teachers are local residents. There are some competent people as well, and we train them regularly and make them actually we try to increase their competency, and that way we train them. And then who are those? No. Another question is about monographic class. Yes, we have we conduct only single class in a single deck book, and 2 classes in a double deck boards.
Yeah, Mr. Sina Chaudhuri, can I support you? There are 3 questions unanswered yet. So,
Yeah.
Do the students pay any fees in your schools?
No, not at all. Not at all. All the expenses are borne by Poppy.
Okay. And another question is the questioner said, very nice presentation, and you are doing a great job for the underprivileged children there. You mentioned early marriage. Could you share a status of how many early marriages happened in the last 1 year in your program area? What type of activities are you doing to reduce this issue?
No, thing is, we have comprehensive programs against child marriage. In terms of the statistics, I can only tell you about just in August, and in 3 Upazila, 3 sub-districts in Kishoreganj districts, there are incident of 19 child marriages, and 17 child marriages we stopped, but 19 child marriages already happened. 19 and 17, 34, 36, I think 36 child marriage incidents were there, but we could prevent 17 child marriages. So it's this time it is increasing because of this pandemic, because families have become very much vulnerable in terms of their livelihood. So it's increasing rapidly. But if you think about our programs, we have several programs. I told you, even we have some specific projects which are working for preventing child marriage type of things. But thing is, when it comes to the board school, we have particular program. I told you earlier that we have programs for adolescent girls, and we sit with them 3 days a week, and we encourage them to form a committee or like this, and they work in their community, and that we can tell proudly that we could prevent many incidents in that area. Thank you.
Thank you. I think with this explanation, the supplementary question, next question is also have been answered. What are some of the approaches embedded into the program to ensure retention for girls? I think that is answered. To Mr. Rahul Kanti Barua. Would you please answer some of the questions, like what are the causes of dropout of the students in your working area?
Yes, thank you very much. Actually, mainly the reason is we know in the greater umbrella is poverty. So as the family, they are struggling for their livelihood income. So if I mean this interrupt their livelihood, definitely mostly the parents, they try to involve their children to support their families. So this is a very much, I mean, true indeed, that the poverty, mainly for the poverty of this family. And then we saw in the last years, during COVID-19 pandemic, we saw in our contextual analysis study, we have found that lots of already in my earlier presenter already said about the child marriage. It's also one of the major issues for the child marriage, as because the parents think that within this pandemic, as they are not going to schools, so they feel that they are kind of burdened, and for that reason, we saw that more than 33, we have found that the child marriage happened. So after that, actually, what happened, and also I already mentioned in my presentation that child labor is one of the issues that support their parents. Families to support the fathers in their income. And also, I like to add that within that,
Okay.
child marriage, we also have, adolescent program. We there is some kind of innovation like to hold the child marriage like Totto Paki. There is a small group who really collect the information regarding the child marriage, and they pass it to their committee, and the committee they in our union porishad, and also within the community there are larger group to protect the child marriage. So within the system they protected the child marriage, and they also follow up monitoring about these families. Yes, Mr. Tarshan.
Okay. Yeah. Another question. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hear me? Small group teaching and study cycles.
Okay. Yes. Thank you very much. Actually, I just explained that you know, the government school are closed. There are instruction within the pandemic. The school is closer, and you know, within the formal system, what is I mean, see that in the classroom in the formal school there are more than 50 students in the class, managed by one teacher. But in our cases, there are one room, one classroom, one teachers. So we are managing only 20, 12 to 15, 12 to 15 children. So as there is a small groups and within the system, and the teachers are, are from the community, and children are from the community, there was also restriction that any external will not allow to go to that, to visit that community. So what we did, we support the teachers to come up with alternative, not in the school system. This is like supporting education, learning support within the alternative approach, following in a small group and getting the, proper, like proper taking the distancing, social distancing, wearing the masks, and everything are in place. And what we did, this kind of initiative, we aligned with the governments. We always communicate with the local governments and also education officers to that our initiatives, that everything is open, that we are it is not a school, this is a kind of alternative approach within the community, and we are managing this kind of things. So that is basically the small group, the teacher is doing in a small group, approaching, supporting the children within the communities. And the study cycle is that within the community, the senior students supporting the junior students. So within the community, that is actually basic things, that who are very good in, the seniors, definitely they can support. So this kind of small initiatives, like to continue education through that process.
Like
Yes,
buddy system.
yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Participant.
Thank you, Rahul. This answer already have covered some of the other questions as well. Now I'd like to go to Mr. Shuman. One question for you, Mr. Shuman. Are Rohingya educators utilized for teaching children in their mother tongue? What are the biggest language-related challenges over there?
Yes, now for last 2 years, in fact, from the beginning, it was an effort to teach the Rohingya children in their mother language, and also the training learning materials and books and textbooks been developed in their language, and the education sector actually coordinating all those things. But as government do not allow international organization employing any Rohingya for the program implementation and humanitarian response things, thus the Rohingya education volunteers who are kind of supporting the local community teachers to educate Rohingya children in the camps. And you know that Chittagonian dialect of Bangla, which is very much similar to Rohingya language, it's around 80 to 20%, 80 to 85% similar, but Rohingya have a different alphabet.
Yeah.
So when the talk oral is more very much similar. Oral is very much similar, but when they discuss, it is understandable, but the alphabet is different. So it is kind of the joint effort between the local humanitarian, local people who are recruited from the very much local host community, and the education volunteers from the Rohingya community.
Yeah, thank you. It was a good discussion, I must say, the questioning and answering to the questions. So now we would like to go for Thanksgiving. I would request Ms. Saraf Afra Salsabil, the Curriculum and Instructional Design Specialist of Alokito Hriday Foundation, Bangladesh, to give her vote of thanks. Afra.
Thank you, Mayor. Respected moderator, Mr. Musharraf Tansen, thank you very much. It is my privilege to offer thanks on this occasion. INEE Bangladesh, and the entire team and our today's participants, I should call it a fraternity of education in emergency. Thank you so much to all the speakers presenting their work and valuable findings and opinions with us today. First of all, I should thank our very first presenter, Mr. Sina Chaudhary from People-Oriented Program Implementation, for sharing with us how board school for the children of our areas during the rainy season is ensuring education in emergency. Secondly, we are grateful to Mr. Rahul Kanti Borua from Stormy Foundation Bangladesh for his presentation on continuing education through community participation for during floods. And now I would like to thank our third and final speaker, Mr. Shuman Ahsanul Islam from Insights, for his brilliant presentation on necessary skills for implementing education in emergencies in Bangladesh. Now, I would like to thank Natalie Epstein, Member Engagement Coordinator, INEE, for organizing this webinar and make possible for us to gather, share, and learn from each other about practice and initiatives for education in emergencies in Bangladesh. And also, I'd like to convey my special thanks to Mr. Asim from Pakistan, who has been enormously supporting us with technical issues during the whole session. I take this opportunity to record my heartfelt thanks to Mr. Richmond, Mr. Ruhul, Mr. Sapsa, Ms. Shakira and Jakia Sultana, and other participants to lead our discussion session more fruitful with your concerns and insights about today's presentations. We have been fortunate enough to be supported by a team of very motivated and dedicated colleagues from Bangladesh page who know their jobs and are result-oriented. I'd like to specially mention these names, Muhammad Ramzan Ali, Muhammad Ruhul Qudus, Tahmina Akhtar, Israt Jahan Shumi, and Kaisar Hassan Shouro for their support and sincerity. And now, last but not the least, I would thank the country focal point of INEE, our today's moderator, Musharraf Tansen. Once again, I would like to say that we all are mostly grateful to all the speakers and our participants on this forum. We thank you for being with us. It is a great pleasure. Thank you very much. Over to Tansen Bhaiya.
Thank you, Afra. With her vote of thanks, I would like to conclude the webinar. Thanks to our presenters and to all of the participants. The recording of this webinar and all related presentations will be shared with all registrants by email and also posted on the INEE website. And there is another announcement for you all that we are going to have a meetup in the next month. Hopefully, we will organize that INEE meetup on Saturday, 9th October. And though we have not yet finalized the theme of that meetup, but you will see soon the announcement of the meetup. So till then, I'd like to extend my gratitude and thanks to you all. Please be safe, stay safe. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Have a good day.